And we're going to welcome MELO from Oasis Advisors today, and we're going to talk about the business of senior placement and how we all can work together. Go ahead, NICKELL.
Yeah. So I am MELO, and I am in San Jose. I've lived in San Jose 35 years, but originally Idaho, as we talked about a little bit before. But majority of my time I've lived here in San Jose, California, and married 32 years, have two adult kids, like 19 and 28 now. And so my 19-year-old, he went off to college and came back and said, I'm not ready yet. So he's actually at De Anza. And I'm like, that's fine. We're really just trying to, help him pursue his goals. And my daughter actually works at Open Table in Hawaii. She moved from San Francisco. She moved to Hawaii, got transferred, and that's where she's surfing every day at 2 p.m. I'm like, wow. So living the life there. But, I've been working 35 years in tech. So I came from Cisco Systems. I worked at Plantronics and Juniper Networks. And my career has been partner marketing. So about 3 or 4 years ago, I just was like, I need something more meaningful than just selling products. As much as I loved working with my partners, I wanted to take that skill set and really apply it to helping seniors. So we had a pretty big scare. My mom is very healthy. She's 82 years old. She's owned her business. So I've grown up in a family of entrepreneurs my whole entire life. And she still lives in Burley, Idaho. She still owns her business. But she came down with a scare about 2 years ago where we almost lost her. And about that time, I was actually looking at senior advisor or something, senior concierge, something like that. I was doing my research, and that just kind of solidified what I wanted to do, was really just to be there to help seniors, especially in the Bay Area. Because I think the adult children, like all of us, we're so busy that we want to be there to help our parents, but many of us are in the sandwich generation where we're also, helping our kids grow up happy and healthy and all of that stuff. And there's a juggle that you have to do. So I kind of like to think of myself as like an extended family member, where I'm really taking a lot of that pressure and pain off of the adult children to help them. And I have about 190 communities that I work with just in my patch. So I'm San Jose, Los Gatos, Milpitas, and Campbell. And then I work very closely with Mike Scoggin as well. So we kind of work his territory and he works mine. And then all Northern California, it's just the two of us. So we have a pretty open patch that we support. So any questions? Any other questions? Oh, you're on mute, Julie.
I muted and now I got the button. No, okay. That's amazing. So all over Northern California.
Yes.
Could you say again what exactly how you do?
Go ahead, Joe. Sorry, go ahead.
I wasn't quite clear exactly how you help a senior. I missed it. I went through a little bit quick. Can you say
again?
No
problem. Yeah, so typically what I do is I engage normally with the adult children, but yesterday I went to meet a senior directly, and he said, I served in the Vietnam War. I don't have any family living with me, and he's recognizing that he needs some additional help. And so I just really pull that plan together. I work very closely with the Veterans Association and can help. What I've been finding is that the veterans they're not aware of all the benefits they have and how to reach someone live. So I really help kind of be the conduit to help them. And if they don't have enough income, like I really help them understand how to gain more resources, whether they have like their own property and how to help with that. If they don't have their own property and they're not able to do the assisted living, which can be very expensive, then I work with them on solutions. So I still am playing that concierge role, but my goal is, to help them, before something happens, so they can actually enjoy the remaining years of their life, being around people that are their age and go on activities and vacations together and eat good meals and have house cleaning done and have their laundry done, and they don't have to worry about that. So that's really what I do, is just help kind of pull that package together. It's really a package that's specific to the needs of the senior that I'm working with.
How did you become engaged with this particular person? How does that work, your marketing?
So I market in quite a few ways. One, we're pretty well known. We actually were Oasis Senior Advisors. We've been around for 14 years, but we actually became part of another company. It's called Silver Assist. And Silver Assist has a placement type agency where they're a little bit like a place for mom. But we take it to the next step. So we have that call center similar to like inside sales. And now they give those leads to us so we can actually go out directly to the community and show them the community. And that's really the difference of what we do versus a place for mom is they're really a call agency and they can provide like a big list. And if you're if you're too busy, to be able to go through that like a travel agent, right? They're really like a travel agent, but they don't go to the face-to-face where Oasis takes you face-to-face and says, based on your needs and what you're looking for, we would narrow the 190 down to 5 that are specific for you. So that's how we decide that. All of a sudden I just got a little dry tickle. Sorry. So we narrow it down, and then once we're able to narrow that down through all our different marketing sources. So the way that I found this gentleman, I actually advertised at St. Christopher's in their bulletin.
Nice.
So, it's a little bit more expensive, but I'm testing the market to see where it's best to advertise right now, since it's my first year. And I seriously have this little tickle that I can't get rid of.
Get some water. Do you have water there?
Hold on one sec.
Yeah.
Wine. You need wine.
Coffee. Yeah.
Well, while she's gone, one of the things I stress in the SRES class is that you can do the search several different ways, and of course, there's online versions, there's catalogs and so forth, but they will tell you what the the hard facts are about their specific community, but you really need a placement counselor to tell you about the personality of it, where all the dead bodies are buried, and what the staff is like and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So that interpersonal use of the provider to find these places is really an excellent way to choose.
That's so true. And I do have another realtor that I'm working with, and he has a client. It's a couple, and they have an adult daughter. And I usually am trying to work through the adult children, because depending on the competency or the capacity of the adults, I have to make sure that I understand what that looks like legally, or I can get myself in a lot of trouble. But you're right, that every community, I'm visiting every single community. I went out to a community today, and I've talked with her several times, but I said, I can't really recommend any of your properties until I actually see them myself and know the working relationship. I want to be sure that the staff on board is going to be good to my clients. I'm not going to recommend any clients that I've not seen myself, and that I would feel comfortable sending my mom or dad there. That's kind of the way that I look at it.
And another big deal is the food. You try to go,
Yeah.
to bum a meal from them and see what it's like, because that can be, a deciding factor in a lot of places in selecting communities, is what the food's like.
Yeah, and that's really the last thing, if you think about it, because some of these communities you still can drive, assisted or independent, before, some may reach memory care. Typically, like the little small residential care homes are 6 to 12 beds. It's normally 6, but by the time they're at that, they need a lot of care. You don't see anyone at those residential care homes being able to drive. They're just kind of beyond that point. But the food is so important because they don't have anything else. You want to be able to really recognize the food. And they, some of the larger ones like Merle Gardens or Oakmont, Silver Creek, I'm just giving you a couple examples. They're hiring like chefs. They're hiring chefs because they recognize the importance of making sure that the food is good. And we typically, if I take clients in, I try to arrange it around like a meal time to see what that looks like. And depending on where I go, sometimes I will arrange like a meal time because I want to see how they're treating the residents as they're bringing them through. If some have walkers or wheelchairs, I just want to really see how they're treating the people.
Did you say
So,
earlier you advertise at St. Chris?
I'm sorry,
Did you say earlier you advertise at St. Chris?
St. Christopher.
Yeah?
Yes.
Did you go
Saint-
there? Did you go there? Are you-
The church at St. Christopher.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I'm not a parishioner at St. Christopher. I'm closer to St. Francis of Assisi and St. John Vianney, which is where my kids went to school. But in terms of St. Christopher, it's in my patch, and I'm just kind of testing the waters to see if it makes sense to even put my name in a bulletin.
Yeah, interesting. The reason I said because me and my wife, we go to St. Chris.
Oh, you do? Yeah, I know quite a,
But we belong to St. Francis, because since we moved to the village, but we
Oh,
also
okay.
do a little bit at St. Francis, but we're still going back to St. Chris. My son went to St. Chris and all that. We've been there for over 30 years. But anyway, I thought that was
Yeah.
cool.
I have a lot of my colleagues from Cisco, their kids went to St. Chris. So that name stands out to me a lot, even though I was not a parishioner there. So I don't know.
Some of the senior on the package, what happened, what method you have if those senior cannot afford to pay you? What are the choices? How can you help?
Yeah, so there's a, one, there's kind of a series of questions that we go through. Like, first we're looking at their social security. We're looking to see if they have a home, if their children, the adult children have a home, where we can take some funding, like a reverse mortgage, out on that. Or we'll do like a bridge loan, and we have like Elder Life, which is part of our company, where we'll have like the experts come in to really talk with them about that. We kind of do that initial to understand really what they have available. If they don't, which I have some clients that they've worked all their life and all they have is their social security. They don't have any other budget, no savings, no life insurance, anything, and they're completely living off their social security. So I know some in the area where, as long as they are more on the independent side, they don't need a lot of help and their memory is still there. Like there's Warburton in Santa Clara, which the Warburton family, they specifically want to help the seniors. And so they've lowered their prices to make sure that they can really help most of the seniors that are out there, as long as they have that independent / assisted need, not the memory care. So we do have ones that we can help them with, but if they're like low income, then we help them through the process of getting on Medicaid and helping them understand how to take advantage of that. The last lady that I was able to place in Warburton, she's 65. She's on the younger side, but she had a brain injury from a car accident. And so her mind and her body are not in sync. Like she's now thinking she can do all these things, which I'm like, she won't use a walker. And so I was really helping her because she did fall with me one day. And she fell with me near my car. And I was very afraid that something was going to happen to her because she fell right where she had like on her temple where she had the brain surgery. And so it is a scare, like those things. I do have insurance coverage. Of course, I never want anyone to get hurt in my care, but she just was in denial and she's still in denial. And I found out from her daughter, because I check in with her quite often, like, she's been there since May, and I check in just to see if she's getting healthier, because I also think that her doctor was overprescribing her with meds. And so she was hooked on that. So I was really hoping that her being in a place like Warburton, if she had the meals that she needed, because she also didn't have like her, healthy meals at home. She was having like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, if that. But she decided to take the stairs in the stairwell, and I found out that she fell down the stairs and broke her knee. So you know, the things that, I think we all kind of go through that where we think we can do more than maybe what we can do as we get older. So, but in any case, we do have options like Medicaid, and we'll go through and kind of help them. And sometimes in-home care, it might just be that they need some in-home care. So I'm working with a lot of in-home care agencies as well. And if they do have a diagnosis of dementia or Alzheimer's, then there's daycare. And sometimes that's all they need, like where the adult, they're living with the adult children, they need to be able to go to work and they need a place for their mom or dad to stay. As long as they have like the designation of those two, then there's a place that they can go for all day. It's like adult daycare. And that's usually cheaper than finding a home for them. So we kind of look at all those options based on the senior's needs.
So how
So
much
does-
are your service in general? You have different package, different tier?
Not really different packages and fees, like mine is free. And so there could be quite a few that I just never even get any revenue at all, you know, where if I'm not placing them in an actual assisted memory care or an residential care home, I may not get the funding for it, but our company, kind of our goals and what we look for is we just want to make sure that the senior is in a healthy place.
So the Warburton, do they pay you for the placement?
Yeah, so I get paid the first month placement from the assisted living. So if they're on Medicaid and they can't get into a home, like if I worked with like an in-home care home, we may work out a deal where I might get 30% a month. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you
Yeah,
get paid
because
by
I,
the establishment,
go ahead,
huh?
Joe. Go ahead.
So you get paid by the establishment, whatever placement that you happen to put them in, not by, not from the senior.
Not from the senior, not from the family. Yeah, it's completely free to them. It's from the community itself that I get paid.
It's like a travel agent, basically.
Yeah. Yep.
You mentioned
That was
earlier,
on, for those that cannot afford it, those are Medicare folks.
The Medicaid. Yeah. Medicare.
Okay,
Medi-Cal.
I was,
Medi-Cal.
okay, Medicare. I was there just this month, August the 12th. Everybody there seemed very healthy, ambulatory and so forth. All downstairs, I saw the rec room, the
You
kitchen.
mean at the Warburton?
Yes, I was there, the 12th. And so
Oh,
I
okay.
was really kind of surprised after I told him, I had 3 people that I wanted to talk to him about. One had rheumatoid arthritis, but she really couldn't afford it because her upper limit was like 23. She's going to have a rough time. But the other one was okay, but she needed a lot of care because she takes physical therapy. She's just learning how to sit up in a chair. And the other one, now this is the one I was really concerned about. He was ambulatory and all that, but he has dementia and hard to get along with. He really is. But he was telling me, his name is Mike, that they take them all. And I said, nobody, to me, I was only there an hour, but nobody looked like they were dementia clients. But he said they can take them. So I was kind of concerned about that because it didn't seem like they were equipped for that.
Yeah.
Well,
I
it-
mean,
it-
that's that's where they have like the in-home care. But you're paying more for that. But
Right. He
I
did
know
mention
going
that.
in, Yeah.
They start at 31 and for assisted care, it's like an added 1,200. So that make it around 45, something like that, 43, 45. Yeah. So, but I just was scratching my head when I said I didn't see anybody like him. I didn't see like a unit that's for memory care.
There's no unit. And
Okay.
I would not place anyone there that
I
has
wouldn't. Thank you for that.
anything at memory care level. Never.
Okay.
I
Thank
just
you.
wouldn't. But I agree. There's a few that will take anyone. And Warburton could be like that. I don't know. I didn't see that when I was there, but there were more that needed, some that were in wheelchairs. And I'm thinking, okay, what kind of home care are they getting? Who are they hiring beyond the price of the monthly where they're getting that support that they need? It's kind of like a cruise ship. It seems like a cruise ship to me.
Well, he did say they have people that come in
Yeah.
for the added care, medical care.
Yeah, it's all personal though. It's like all private pay. So
Right.
it could be any one of those that you saw that they have their own private care person still coming in. So that's on
Mm-hmm.
top of the fees that you're paying Warburton directly.
Yeah, they're
You
not
have anybody
licensed.
there?
They're not licensed to do medical care, so that's why they have to bring in somebody that can do it. And also,
Mm-hmm.
just in my chat box, I put that you have to qualify to be able to go into these places physically, financially, cognitively, and behaviorally. So they look
Mm-hmm.
at all those things before you can move in. So it's eh, you're selecting them and they're selecting you. So
Right.
two ways.
Yeah, like independent care, you don't need the 602. But if you can pass independent care, like there's a level that, they're not necessarily going to look at you like if the kids or whoever, like, myself, if I said, nope, this person can definitely come in as independent care. But if they're really not independent care, for myself, I just wouldn't do that. But there are
Mm-hmm.
probably people that are like, I just want to place the person. I don't really care where they're being placed at. But
Get rid of
if
them.
they're assisted or above, you have to have a 602, which is a physician's document. And that needs to be provided by the family, and
Mm-hmm.
the doctor has to sign it off. And then the community itself, like Oakmont, let's just say, has to also do the assessment. Anything above independent, they have to do an assessment on the person. So yeah, completely, what you just said, that there has to be a sign off on both sides.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I think he was just trying to sell me. And I was more interested in the level of care that they could provide, and I actually did not see it. This
Who was the
particular person,
person?
Michael.
Who was, okay.
But they do have Medicare, those people who cannot afford the minimum, and they put them on Medicaid.
Medicaid.
Medicaid, okay.
Medi-Cal.
Medi-Cal in California, but it's Medicaid.
Okay.
Well,
Thank
again, you
you.
have to qualify for Medi-Cal though. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a last resort type of situation. So not everybody can get it.
It's a process because you have to do a spend down. So you have to make sure that you really don't have the resources and the dollars somewhere hidden. And there's a certain amount of time that I don't remember
3 years.
3 years.
You're talking about look back.
Yeah, that you have to make sure that, you're not depositing like 100,000 in like your daughter's banking account.
I'm sorry, that's 5 years, not 3. They increased it.
So look back.
And they're actually looking for
The
10.
look back.
No, I asked that same question to Caitlin Ross, who's an elder law attorney, about the look back, because I thought it was 3, and I heard it was 5, and she said that's gone.
No, it is not. It's here forever, unfortunately.
Maybe
I'll
she
find
knows.
it in my certified advisor book. Because I'm a certified senior advisor. And we had 25. We had
Are you
25
going to
chapters.
Phoenix? Are you going to
Mm.
Phoenix?
I wasn't planning on it, no.
Might
I know
not be
there's
either.
something coming up, but no, I'm not doing that.
That's the
I
Maybe
annual
gotta-
next year
conference.
we'll go.
Yeah, let's go next year.
Yeah, let's go next year.
So
But
you
they
were
talked
saying-
about all the look back time. I'm sorry?
I was just gonna say that, continue where you were talking about the look back, but it's if you check any of the documentations for Medi-Cal, you'll see that they do have the look back period and it's still very much there. They're actually thinking about increasing it from 5 years to 10 years. So
Oh my gosh.
it can be a big deal.
Yeah, hi
Wow.
folks. This is Angel. In my experience in settling a variety of claims over the years, my understanding regarding Medi-Cal is that they're doing away with the asset test, but it's the income you
Yeah.
need to be careful about. But even having said that, with my limited knowledge in that area, sometimes somebody else in the family can be on Medi-Cal, so you really just have to be careful when you get into that Medi-Cal issue, and whoever is looking to take advantage of that, best to speak to some sort of an expert, because it's just got all these branches. It's like, if this, then that, if this, then that.
Yeah.
So it's not a cookie cutter kind of thing. So it's just something to keep in mind.
And that
It's
part of it
very-
is similar to the veterans look back. They have one as well, like with the spend down. And I completely agree with you that it's best to either go through the, if they're veterans, to go through that path, there's very specifics that you have to look at on the spend down, and same with the Medi-Cal. And I actually do work with a Medi-Cal advisor as well. So they do have those out there that I haven't had to work with a client specifically with her, but I'm really building that relationship because I see the need, that there are just so many intricacies that it's hard to understand all the ins and outs of it, let alone Medicare itself,
Yeah.
Are
know?
they,
You
Are
need to
they
have a
local?
specialist and put them on speed dial.
yeah.
Yeah.
Are they
Yeah.
local, NICKELL? Are they local?
Yeah, she is local. And I'm in 2 networking groups with her. Her name's Lily, is her name. So I'm in a female networking group, the DOTS group in Morgan Hill, and then I'm in the CF3 with her as well.
Can you, I'm gonna switch gears a little bit to learn more about the financing, funding resource that, Oasis Senior Advisors uses. And the name of the company just flew right out of my head.
The Elder Financial?
Yeah, that's it, Elder Life, because I'm signed up for the seminar or the webinar. I think it's today after.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and to learn about that particular company. So maybe you could tell us a little bit.
Yeah, so the company, I don't know how many years they've been in existence, but they are now part of Oasis Senior Advisors. We actually roll up under our, silver first. And they'll talk to you more. I mean, they may bring some other things up today. I may actually just try to listen in today, but they talk more about like the bridge loans, and they help articulate to the seniors and the adult children, like, how to gather funding and options for funding. So the biggest benefit when I've talked to them is just understanding more about the bridge loan and more about the reverse mortgage and how to take advantage of those items. At one time I thought that they could, I sent like some low income clients to them, and they live in a trailer park. They used to have a home, and then they downsized to move into a trailer park, but now they're getting stuck with all these monthly fees, and the monthly fees are just too exorbitant for them. They're actually in Blossom Valley. And I was really hoping that there were some other options that Elder Financial could talk with me about, but they're really looking, from what I understand, it could be different today. Maybe they're coming up with other ways to manage the resources. But you really need to have that house, like the seniors need to have the house, and they need to have equity in the home. So what
Yeah.
time is that meeting? I know it's today because I remember seeing it, but what
It's-
time is that one?
Something Central Time, and I think it was 1 o'clock our time. And then the only thing I thought to myself is I'm signed up for it, and so if I miss it, I'll get the recording.
Okay, you know what, my 1 o'clock got canceled, so I'll just, so it's 1 PM our time, you
I
said?
think so.
Okay, I'll double check. You know what, I'm just gonna join because it just doesn't hurt to,
Yeah.
I might get another tidbit today that I didn't recognize the other time I talked to them.
Well, and it's something for us as SRES to know that they're a resource and they're connected to Oasis Advisors. And now we want to be connected to you,
And I want to be connected to you.
right? Because we all have the same homeowner, the same families, the senior homeowners and families of senior homeowners. And then you have, even expanding on that, more of the homeowners like you just described, the family in the home, in the mobile home park in South San Jose.
Yeah.
And their situation. Now, do they own that home that they're in?
They do. Yeah. But they
So-
can't afford the fees now.
Right, so that's the thing, so I specialize in that kind of situation with that kind of home. And this is what we do as SRES, and so we can listen to situations and then provide some opportunities to consider to improve that situation. It just depends. Everything, everything just depends.
Mhm. Yeah, hers was a little bit different. She was the wife was wanting to get out of that and then move into assisted living. And so, she'd probably talk to friends and whatnot. And, I was trying to find the lowest price, but she could probably move into one bedroom with her and her husband. The husband didn't want to go at all. And then, oh, by the way, they have an adult son who's in his 50s. So that kind of creates the complexity because if he is not disabled, the son is not disabled, it makes it harder for me to be able to find like a senior living home for the couple plus the son. Now, if the son was disabled, that would be a different story. It would be easier for me to find something, which I also had something like that with a couple that the husband and father was disabled. He actually was diagnosed with dementia. Vietnam vet, service connected, completely has all the fees coverage, including a home in South San Jose that has all the equity that they'd ever need, right? So that wasn't the problem. But they also have an adult son who's blind and trying to live on his own. And they're worried about him, where to go to make sure that they're still close to him and not disrupting the parents, that are going through this change very rapidly, very quickly. And the son who's blind and not disrupting anyone. So you almost have to play like counselor to really just listen and understand and be patient and make sure that it really isn't disrupting any of the family members and understanding all the different dynamics that are taking place.
Do you find when you talk to families that the majority of the families that you talk to have not even made any kind of plans or thought process for these things that they face?
Yes and no. Some they're really strong on the financial side, and some have sold their homes, like if they have gone through divorce, and they're living in an apartment. Like it's just interesting where they've been able to, when they were working, they had a home and able to put their kids through private school, put their kids through college, and then divorce happens and then things happen. And now, they're lonely living by themselves and living paycheck to paycheck, living on Social Security. So it really just depends on the family itself, like how educated they are. I'm also working very closely with Cheryl James, who is a financial advisor, because what I've been telling my adult children around my age is you really need to think about what's going to happen for us, like our age, before we get there, because by the time they're in their late 60s, if they don't have a financial plan in place, it's going to happen to you too, but it's going to be worse. So you got to really think about, if you haven't done that planning now and you haven't taught your kids how to do it, you really got to take that time to make sure that you're planning now, because it's just going to get more expensive. So
Actually,
it's
sooner
really,
than-
yeah, the sooner the better. The
yeah.
sooner the better.
I had clients do financial plans in their 30s and 40s. And you'd think, well, my God, what do they want to do that for? But it makes a lot of sense. You have a roadmap to decide how things are going to go, what you're going to do, milestones to be made, decision points, things like that. So it makes a difference.
Yeah, this
And
is Angel, and I just wanted to kind of chime in. I
Hey.
unfortunately have had some experience as of late with living trusts and having to deal with that, and it's mind-boggling, the relatively low cost to set up a living trust compared to having people pass away and dealing with all the expenses if you don't have a living trust, after they've passed away. it's just astronomical. I mean, the fees are $50,000, $60,000, and families are just taken aback, and I think it's an educational thing, right? I mean, you could spend $4,000 or $5,000 today, and avoid that in the future. And the other thing I've noticed is when you've got two or more heirs, more often than not, they're not going to agree as to how to split those assets. So
Yeah.
Family dynamics.
planning, if you
Yeah.
can put, ahead of time. And the last thing that kind of occurred to me, I'm relatively new to the organization, but these scenarios, Nickel, also that you mentioned, I'm wondering if on occasion that the association or we could set up some sort of a round table to address certain issues. The scenario you pointed out. Now, I deal with generally two things. I settle physical injury and wrongful death claims using a tax-free annuity. And then with the new MetLife product, it's tax deferral of capital gains on the sale of property, including a primary residence. And when you mentioned that couple with the equity, but then they had a special needs child,
Yeah.
and some of the stuff we've done in the past, and every case is different and unique, is you could do like a tax deferred structured installment sale with the MetLife product to move folks from their primary large house into some sort of assisted living. So now you have this guaranteed income with no management fees to pay for things like that. Set up a special needs trust for the benefit of the child, and that preserves all their Medi-Cal benefits and maybe get some in-home health services. I mean, the list kind of goes on and on. Like, hey, some of these scenarios seem insurmountable, but if
And
you
other,
put the right people together, you might actually be able to
Right.
put something together that can benefit these family members that they just would not have any idea exists.
Yeah, it's almost like someone had mentioned that roadmap, right? And that's what I'm finding. You almost need, based on that senior and the family you're talking to, you kind of have that checklist that you're going through. And some of it is even like with dignity, like the funeral pre-planning, which also is so much more expensive after the fact versus preparing for it on the front end.
Yeah.
But kind of going through that life cycle and asking, knowing what questions to ask, because in this case, that couple, veterans service connected, he gets the highest amount, has the highest equity that I've seen for a home that has the special needs child. He does have a special needs trust.
Good.
But there's just so much emotion around it. So
Yeah.
even just being able to have like kind of a family counselor come in, because you also don't want to overwhelm the family, and if you you kind of have to have that guided solution. When's the right time to bring the right people in so they feel like it's really a guided process and not just all these, like a place for mom, like here's the list, see you later,
And sometimes it's a matter of dripping the information, a little bit of information at a time, kind of leading them a little bit and say, here's some information. When you're ready, we'll go to the next step.
Yeah.
Because to your point, they're hearing this stuff for the first time. They find it overwhelming. They just shut down. It's like that. You guys are telling me you're going to help me, but I'm overwhelmed with all this information.
Yes.
It's like, okay, let's step back, take it, one step at a time. And when you're ready, we'll get to the next step.
Yeah,
don't
it's really
forget there's-
navigating very slowly, carefully what you say.
Yeah.
This particular special needs adult child, he's, completely blind. He was there at the family orientation with me, completely capable, but there's just so much emotion around it. And I understand that he also has cancer. So it's just the parents feeling hopeless, and the dad has dementia, and the dad is like the major provider. And the mom, she actually had a beam fall on her head in 1989 when we had that big earthquake here. So she's been living with the PTSD of that all these years. So it's all that kind of those dynamics that you really do have to just walk cautiously and patient, and the drip, but knowing when to drip, what to drip first to make sure that you have that thoughtful and methodical, logical process. And I do think it's good, Julie, because, it's usually the real estate agents and kind of, like my process, where I am kind of like that counselor, I really am sitting with them and really understanding, you know, what do I need to bring into the situation to make sure that they feel comfortable and they're ready to move to the next step.
And let's not forget one of the things that we've forgotten here already, long-term care insurance.
Mhm.
That can be very appropriate, and it really can be a lifesaver for a lot of families
Yeah.
that prepare ahead enough and can get it.
Yeah, if they don't have it though, before they're 60, it's really hard for them to get, especially if they
That's the
have
whole
a
idea.
pre-existing. Yeah,
You got to qualify for it, and that means you got to be healthy enough to get it. I have so many clients that say, "Well, I don't need
Yeah.
long-term care insurance. I'm healthy." Well, yeah, that's right. That's when you get it. You don't
yeah,
get the
exactly.
homeowner's insurance when the house is on fire. So, you know, you got to prepare again.
Yeah. So we were mentioning, hi Dan, we mentioned roundtable. I actually, I'm part of 2 roundtables. So the senior roundtable, Julie, that we're part of, which is Wesley, who does a lot. I think he lives near Palo Alto, so we don't see him come down to this area very much. In the last couple months, I think he's done more of the San Jose Campbell route. But I'm working with Jeanette Marcella, who's a elder lawyer in San Jose, and she's wanting to start like a new
Elder
roundtable.
law attorney, not an elder attorney.
Elder law attorney, yeah. And that's Jeanette.
Jeanette Marcella, yeah, she calls herself an elder law attorney.
Yeah.
We
Jeanette.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we need to get in touch with her. And we just had an SRT last week. We were at Morningstar over on Deanza.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were, while you were cruising.
Yes.
And
That
don't
was on my
forget, there are other
anniversary.
chapters of
Yeah.
senior roundtable. There's well, East Bay, you have San Mateo, I think there's a San Francisco chapter. So there's more than just one, and you can attend them all if you'd like.
We'll look
Hi.
into, yeah, I need to make a list. Kevin, go ahead.
Hi. First of all, we actually work with Jeanette Marcellus. She,
Oh, nice. How do you
yes,
spell
so
her
we work
last
with
name?
her.
Marsala.
Marsala. And so we currently work
Got
with
it.
her right now, and she does have a roundtable event. And I just wanted to share with the audience here and the team here that, you know, we as you know, reverse, you know, specialists, right? We deal with a lot of clients that have special needs kids. And like you mentioned, you know, we need to have a process. We need to have a roadmap, a solution, so that we can all help them to make sure that their kids are taken care of, they're taken care of in the meantime, so that we can make sure that we provide solutions. Like you mentioned earlier, you know, it's making sure we bring in the right people at the right time, so that we can make sure we have something in place to help everyone as a whole to gather everything that they need regarding trust, long-term healthcare, you know, financing, just everything. So we think that as a group, we should come up with something, because I think that would be great, like some type of booklet that, you know, we can share with our clients, so that when they need these types of services, we know where they, you know, who we can refer them over to.
Yeah, like Elder Financial does have like a 1-pager that's been really helpful to me on kind of their service maps that they offer. But I'm just almost thinking of a 1-page life cycle, right? You know, like the checklist, first of all, kind of get the questions answered. And then that 1-page visual on when to, and sometimes it could be simultaneously, but it's really, someone mentioned the drip process, which I think is a good way to think about it. Knowing when to bring them in.
Absolutely.
The team
I
members,
think
yeah.
that's a great thing that we should all create as a team to make sure we help our clients.
So, I have a question. So for those of us that would be interested, how do you become a senior or a Oasis advisors?
A certified senior advisor?
Well, we know about CSA. No, I want to talk
Oh.
about senior Oasis advisors. How did you become connected to Oasis advisors, get into the business of doing that? I understand it's a franchise, Oasis advisors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And how do you get trained into that business?
Well, I did my research. I didn't even know that this role existed originally. and I was going to go down the senior concierge path. And the more research I did, I actually found another franchise, which is assisted living locators. And I hadn't even thought about a franchise, but the more I looked into it, I felt like it was meeting the needs of what I was wanting to do to help seniors and kind of in Silicon Valley be that conduit for the busy adult children and the seniors, that sandwich. I could be part of that sandwich where I could really help those adult children. And the more I looked at, the pros and cons, I felt like either I could start my business on my own, and I have a marketing background, so I do, and I work with partners. That's like really my bread and butter, is I'm very used to working with partners globally. And so I really had that in my back pocket, but I know how difficult it is for my partners globally in my tech world to build their brand. And so I started looking at this, and I decided on Oasis Senior Advisors because frankly, I really like the salesperson. Because I was talking with the other one, and I was like, I heard some echoing there. So I decided on Oasis because of that, and went down the process, and it just really fit together very nicely. And I was comfortable with the fees. It's like a 10-year. So I'm in this for 10 years on this contract. And because I do have the background, I love travel. I love being able to help seniors. I felt like those two components, even though this isn't really a travel job, but my investigation and digging things out and trying to figure out, like, I love the investigation process of trying to find the right match for people, and taking the time to do that, whether it's physically driving them with me to go see. And, I'm just open to things like that, to helping. That's really how I decided to become an advisor, because it just kind of met what I was wanting to do to help seniors.
What does the training consist of?
The training consists really of 2 weeks where you do pretty intense training, and you're going through like just all their rules and policies. And then you can decide, once you're actually in the field. So now that I'm back in San Jose, I'm considered being in the field, where we have weekly and monthly training. We actually have also paid training that we can take advantage of. And a lot of it is just, how to sell, how to sell in the senior space. Some of those are kind of basic that we can leverage across the board. Some are very specific to senior care and how to really get comfortable going into not only the communities, I'm bringing them leads, right? So they're really happy for me to bring them leads. The nursing facilities, the hospitals, the leads, like, me placing an ad and figuring out my own marketing, and me placing an ad in like the church bulletin. That's kind of my outreach. And that's really where I'm working on right now, is getting the comfort level and going into skilled nursing facilities and hospitals and selling the business of Oasis. So when they do have like seniors that are ready to go home and they can't go home, they need to go somewhere, then I'm helping those skilled nursing communities make sure that they know my face, they know my name, getting comfortable with me. So then I can make sure to place those individuals in the right place.
Yeah, it's buying a franchise. Yeah, right? But
Yeah,
you
I bought a
the
franchise.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
one business model that's available for this kind of business, is the
Yeah.
franchise model. Yeah.
Yeah, there's others too.
Yeah, there's others.
Yeah, but the upside for me was the branding, right? That I didn't want to have to, in the very first of it, understand the business model plus understand the branding. There were too many steps for me to take personally. That's why I chose this way.
Well, and it's a huge study on deciding on which franchise is right for you and your market.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work.
Yeah. Are you guys interested in doing that? Something for senior advisors?
Well, we're interested in learning more about it, and so that we have a really good understanding, and that we can work together and collaborate, because you do what you do, we do what we do, but we're all there for the senior homeowners and the families of senior homeowners.
Mhm.
And so when we come across and have a conversation with a family, something we hear, we'll say, oh, well, we need to call NICKELL about that. She has information about that, or vice versa, same thing,
Right. Yep.
right? Because we know we protect, preserve, and leverage the family's real estate asset. And in order to be able to achieve what the family needs to achieve when facing a life transition. So all of us work together to do that. Nobody really, I mean, could you imagine if one person had all that job?
Yeah. I mean, I do know a real estate agent that's a senior certified advisor, and she does placement, right? I mean, it's not uncommon.
Yeah, no, that's a thing. So that's another thing that we're moving into, actually nationally.
Okay.
So, yeah, so nationally, because that's why we want to learn and collaborate with, first at our local level,
Mm-hmm.
with the industry of placement, and then work together to move forward to bring these services to the clients, even at a higher, better level. So
Yeah.
that was one of my goals anyway.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
think
it's-
Jen had a question regarding, is there other ways for us to be able to work with Oasis besides being part of a franchise?
Yes,
Like
I mean,
volunteer work
thank
or
you
any of
very
that stuff?
much. Right.
Right.
I just feeling like, being doing the franchising in the beginning is a big commitment.
Mhm.
And also like, we as a realtor and I also finance professional, and we don't really have energy to to work with all the facilities, but we do have the clients. So should we
Yeah.
just contact you or just directly with Oasis to do some of the placement work?
Yeah, you can work with me directly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the two-way street, right? Like if I get to know like your business model and where you can help, because I have clients that may need to sell their house, right? They're not sure how to
Right.
sell it, or like as I
Yeah.
mentioned earlier, that I work with a couple financial advisors already, but I'm trying to grow my kind of referral network so I understand who to call when based on what the need is. And I don't know like the details of all that. I kind of know peripherally. So if we kind of had like our little reference cheat sheet of what the focus is and what that particular person or company focuses on, then it would be helpful, I think, for both sides of the house, right? Because there's just
Okay.
too much work to do and it's going up, especially for seniors. I
Okay.
mean, every day there's one person turning 65 every day. It's like 10,000 a day right now, and not enough support to really help. So, yeah, so definitely reach out.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, that fact right there is pretty much the number one reason why we're mobilizing, especially as SRES, and especially me and this group, our SRES networking meetup group, and working together to create the resources where we can resource to you, you can resource to us, and it's an ongoing everyday thing. And then and talking to the consumers and the homeowners about all this. Now, one thing that we're going to focus on as well in the near future, and what we do anyway all the time, is planning ahead. And so, planning ahead includes teaching or learning or sharing about the services that you do, the services that we do, and how they're relevant to the families when they're planning ahead.
And part of that includes the certified senior advisor designation. We try to encourage our people to get that because, well, as you know, it's very in-depth and very knowledgeable.
Exactly. That's why
Absolutely.
you're CSA, I'm CSA, Skip's CSA. So we're always wanting to add that to our tool belt, because it just expands our skill set in order to serve the homeowners. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it just provides like a level of understanding that the more we understand that and what we've gone through to get that designation, it just kind of helps you just cut right through to get really to those deeper questions that need to get answered.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I have my little designation right there.
She gave us her contact. Yeah, so we will have that available. Valerie's just asking me about your contact information. It's actually available in the bulletin and will be available in the bulletin again. And
Okay.
and NICKELL's stuck with us now. So
I love it.
we're connected.
Yeah. And probably on my email, you have my signature line too.
Yeah. So
And Julie, are you
go ahead.
getting something?
What?
Go ahead. I think you might have been.
I was going there? Yeah, we're gonna have a raffle today.
There you go. That's what I was.
Oh.
Raffle! Valerie, the other Valerie. Valerie, did everybody see in the bulletin that I said we were gonna have a raffle today? Yeah. Kevin, yay, Kevin!
It's a new car.
Valerie's gonna come
I'm
and pick.
wondering
I
why
got
you're
everybody's
saying it's
name.
Dan. Why does it say
Everybody's
Dan?
name that's in our, Valerie's gonna pick.
Oh, okay. There you go. Thank you.
Okay.
Same place.
Just to confuse me, I was like,
Carmen!
okay, got it. Who is it?
Carmen got the raffle
Carmen.
today. Here's
Yay.
official. Yay. So I don't know. We got an increased participation today, so maybe it's working. I'm gonna do more
Yay.
raffles. So if anybody has any suggestions, that would be you can email me or
Well, I'll forward you. I know some of you know Jan Marcella already, but she has a Facebook group that she's just started. And so
Yeah.
I'll send it to
Oh,
you, Julie, and then that way I'm supposed to be inviting, she sent it to me to invite. So if I know who's on here on this list, if I have that list, then I'll
Okay.
just forward. I'll probably
Oh,
just
perfect.
include the link in the email. That way you can just sign on. Does
Yeah.
that sound good? Okay.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna stop here because we're gonna go to the Elder Life webinar, and I'm gonna learn about that, and then I'll share that again. And then thank you, everybody. Thank you, NICKELL. I'm so
Thank you.
excited. Like I said, you're stuck with us now.
That's okay. I like
We're gonna
it.
be doing stuff. Yay!
All right. Yay.
All right, thanks,
All right.
you guys. Have a
Well,
good
one quick
week.
thing.
Oh,
We
yeah,
are
go ahead.
planning an event at DESI in Campbell. And it's for Alzheimer's Association. So we're doing a fundraiser.
Oh, wait,
And
say that again. Start over.
DESI is an Indian restaurant in Campbell. It's a contemporary Indian restaurant. And we went
do
and
you
had
spell
their
that?
food. DESI.
Oh, yeah. The
Yeah.
one in Campbell
and-
Avenue.
Mhm. Yeah, and we're gonna have a band, like I already got a band. So we're either gonna do it the 20th. I think that's the September 20th is a Thursday, is
Okay.
the date that I want to do it. So more to come, but yeah, it's gonna be an evening event. We're just trying it out, and hopefully that's something that they're gonna want to do monthly. We're
I'll
just
take all the
hoping-
details and I'll put it in the bulletin.
Awesome.
And
Okay.
then stuff like that, we love to have those little tidbits because we can all plug it into our own marketing.
Yeah.
And if it's our own marketing, we can share it with our colleagues and use it in our different regions because we're from kind of Southern California, Northern California, everywhere. So I appreciate that. That's amazing.
Okay. All right.
right.
Thank you. All
All
right.
right. Thanks, you
Thanks all.
guys.
All right. Goodbye.
All right. Have a good week.
You too.